Studio. We're kicking off a brand new week on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We welcome to the program Rodney Hall. He's a member of the Mississippi House of Representatives, represents District 20, appointed as the vice chair of the Military Affairs Committee. Representative Hall, thanks for coming in, sir.
Hey, thank you much. Thanks for having me, Mr. Gerard. It's good to be with you on this nice cold morning.
So you, of course, from up north in the state, DeSoto County, and you told me you headed down yesterday.
I did, yeah. So I took a look at the weather yesterday before I came down, and I saw it was coming. Yeah. And there was a big chance that I wouldn't have made it down here if I didn't get on the road last night.
Well, I just checked it out. It's still blue across the northern, I guess, 25% or so of the state. It looks like it's just covered in blue, which, of course, indicates snow. And then you come a little south of that, and you got sleet, freezing, rain, and so forth.
My son's enjoying it. He's having a snow day.
That's right, snow day. You guys are scheduled to convene today at 4 o'clock, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the state is shut down because of Martin Luther King Day, but you guys are still planning to meet.
Yep, the people's work continues.
Okay. Well, I suspect that given the fact that I'm sure the speaker was communicating with everybody, letting them know here's where we are, that a bunch of people headed on down before the weather got them, right?
And, a lot of my colleagues, I was with some of my delegation from DeSoto County last night. Most of us came down knowing that we would have to gavel in today at 4 o'clock. So I don't think weather's going to prevent us from continuing to do the people's work. And so we'll be there at 4 o'clock today.
Anything in particular on the agenda today that you're aware of? What's happening?
Well, we recently got our committees, which you just said that I was appointed to vice chair of military affairs. I'm pretty excited about that. Yep. The committees, they'll start forming and putting together the procedure so that we can start doing work. I've seen a lot of members with their bills that they're going to be introducing, and so I would expect for us to start to get busy here in the next couple of days.
Okay. So, as Vice Chair of Military Affairs Committee, please explain to the audience about your military service, your background.
Yeah. So, I'm coming up on 20 years of service in the Mississippi Army National Guard. Something I'm very proud of. It's something that, my dad, he was an Army vet, served in Desert Storm. My grandfather, he served in Vietnam. I served in Afghanistan and Syria. And so I hold it very dear to my heart. I've been a soldier my entire life. But, I also worked on Congressman Trent Kelly's staff, which he's on our House Armed Services. And so I've had the ability to work on defense issues in the state and also nationwide. And, we have a huge defense population here in the state of Mississippi, all across the state. I mean, I've been to places like Airbus up in the Golden Triangle, General Atomics, Stennis, Ingalls, U.S. Marine Inc. We have just a huge infrastructure here, and we have good leadership up in Washington. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can leverage that to build a more robust defense industry here in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. So Mississippi has a rich and storied history with respect to the United States military, something we're very proud of, and we, of course, appreciate your service as well. Representative Hall. So you're a freshman. You just got elected, and you're in there. How's it been? Has it been overwhelming? Are you starting to get acclimated there?
No, it's been good. A little bit slower than I anticipated. But we're starting to ramp up here. I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of my colleagues, get to know them, start to really dig down into the rules, and just kind of set the conditions so that we're set to go when we start getting things coming in committee.
Yeah. Speaking of rules, of course, that's the first order of business. Representative Fred Shanks from Rankin County is the Rules Committee chairman. Yeah. So he'll have to sort all that out. Get that out to the members there so you guys know how to operate.
Yeah. And there's been a little bit of shakeup on rules, so I'm interested to see how they go. Okay. Of course, Clay DeWeese, he's from the northern part of the state, Oxford. He is a new member on rules, and I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a very bright individual, so I'm interested to see how this goes.
Okay, awesome. So what did you think about Speaker of the House, Jason White's speech the day? I was there as well. I know you were. The day he was sworn in, elected to be the Speaker of the Chamber. What did you think about his speech, his ideas, et cetera?
It was inspiring. Yeah. He really led with convictions on what he has in mind moving forward over this next term. I really was appreciative of how he talked about really going after the big issues that Mississippi has, not settling for political points, but really trying to address some of the big issues that we have to continue to move Mississippi forward. That's what I signed up for. That's what I campaigned on in DeSoto County. Listen, we have been working extremely well. When you think about our previous speaker, even Governor Tate Reeves, Mississippi's been doing a fantastic job moving the ball forward, moving the needle forward. But we still have challenges.
Yeah.
And I appreciate both the speaker and also the governor for acknowledging that and saying there's more to do. And so I'm excited moving forward, this next year, because we're going to go after the big stuff. Yeah.
I want to get this in there as well. You're mentioning DeSoto County, made me think about it. Representative Dan Eubanks from DeSoto County was in an automobile accident yesterday. He's fine.
Yes.
He's personally fine. But it did total his vehicle, and he posted some photos of his photos. He was in Batesville.
Yeah. No, he was coming down I-55. I actually saw him and talked to him on my way down to make sure he was fine. I was going to pick him up, but I think he's already back.
Okay.
So he's ready to go.
Okay. Good. You hate that happens, but we're certainly relieved that there was no harm done.
Yes.
No bodily injury. So we're appreciative of that, but that's never any fun, of course. But the roads are tough, so be careful out there, folks.
Very much so. I would tell people to slow down on the interstate, especially as you go across those bridges. They get icy, and your car will start to spin out of control if you continue to attack it like you're driving on the highway.
No doubt. So one of the things that Jason White, Speaker of the House Jason White, said was he encouraged members to start building relationships with people on the other side of the aisle.
Yes.
That you remember that
absolutely
distinctly from his speech. And so it doesn't mean you have to compromise your principles or your values, but if we start talking in a more open dialogue and respectful civil dialogue, and we start to empathize and maybe understand the point of view of others, I think it's a good thing. It's good, healthy debate.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, and I can say this about my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, I think that we all have the best interests in Mississippi at heart, and we all want to do the right thing. That does not mean that we agree on how, the ways and the means on how we accomplish that.
Yep.
But we got to have those conversations, and we got to be willing to talk through these issues in order to find what is best for Mississippi moving forward.
Yeah. So something that I'm free to at least tease at a very high level is that the state of Mississippi, I think, would be interested in knowing is that we're going to see an economic development announcement. There's going to be a couple. Mm-hmm. One that's coming Thursday and another the following Thursday. Mm-hmm. And these are going to be they're going to be really good. Let me just put it that way. For the state of Mississippi. You may have been advised somewhat, briefed on.
I have a little knowledge of it. And I'm interested to see this come to the floor, a special session in a session.
Yeah, that's exactly right. These, I believe, have the potential to be transformational to our state.
Yes.
And I think we're going to see more benefit to our state from such projects, honestly, than any bill we could pass down there at the legislature.
Yes.
It all starts with that.
Well, true investment in Mississippi, when you set the conditions for businesses to come in, for people to be able to go back into the workforce, when you set the conditions, they come. We have a great population here, a great population base. Mississippi's a beautiful place to live, and people are interested in coming. And, I give a lot of credit to what the legislature has done most recently with the income tax. I think we need to do a little bit more to continue to set the conditions for businesses to want to come and invest in Mississippi. That's how we continue to move the ball forward.
I keep going back to Governor Reeves in his campaign in 2019. He said it over and over again. He doesn't want to make Mississippi just a good place for business investment. He wants to make it the best place.
Oh, absolutely.
And that should be our goal.
Absolutely. When you think about it, we have 3 million people here. We're a small state, but we're a strong state. We have a lot that we can do here as far as investment, as far as bringing other businesses here, as far as the population growth, especially when you look at, DeSoto County, where I'm from, even down on the coast. We got to continue to encourage and recruit businesses to come here because that is what's going to continue to help us grow.
Well, it's a very pro-friendly business climate here that we have in the state of Mississippi. We really got to sell and promote that more. That's how we get these kinds of projects, no doubt.
I feel that we're doing it. We got great leadership. Speaker White, he's been doing a fantastic job. Governor Reeves continues to move the ball forward. I think this is going to be a lot more of this coming in the near future.
After the break, we'll dig into some of the issues.
Fantastic.
We got Representative Rodney Hall in the Element Well studio, and we're coming. We're visiting with Rodney Hall, representative who comes from District 20, newly elected and anointed member of the House of Representatives. You guys are in week 3 now,
yes,
right? Going in today at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
I think it's fair to say that Speaker of the House, Jason White, has a rather ambitious agenda.
He does.
And that's always exciting. You've got, some 25 or so new members?
25.
25, okay, in the chamber, and kind of going through the soak it up phase. But that holiday's about over. And
it is.
And it's time to get down to work, and you got to start diving into the issues.
Yep, and when I think about DeSoto County and the delegation that we have, we have quite a few members, a lot new members. Yeah. But when you look at our committee assignments, we just about have someone on every single committee. And, there's a lot of committees.
Yeah.
I think the last number I got was 31. We have representation on 31 committees coming out of DeSoto County. So that's really good for our area.
Wow. That's a lot. Yeah, I agree. So let's dig into some of the issues. You mentioned a moment ago tax reform, tax reduction. Of course, we had a fairly comprehensive bill that passed a couple of sessions ago that takes out the 4% bracket. The 3% had already been phased out. And then it starts to reduce the 5% bracket down to a single bracket of 4% of all taxable income over $10,000. That will occur in 3 years. Once it's phased out, that 1% of the 5% is chopped off. The governor made it clear, I believe, that his top priority is full elimination of the income tax. Speaker White addressed that somewhat as well. Seems to be more of an appetite to do that in the House, I would argue, than there is in the Senate. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I heard Trey Lamar. He also was recently on the show, and I've spoken with him as well. There's a lot of appetite to continue to reform our tax practices and eliminate the income tax. Okay. I think it really just sets the conditions to really open up Mississippi to allow other businesses to come down, and that's what we need. That's the kind of investment that we need, and we have leadership in the House, and I think we're going to continue to try to move that forward. Okay, so the devil's advocate play in that is PERS. That's something I've talked a lot about, wrote an article about. I know members of the legislature are fully aware. The speaker's fully aware. The MML, the Mississippi Municipal League, was present in the Capitol last week. They were. And that's comprised of mayors from across the state. Current president of the MML, Mayor Toby Barker of Hattiesburg, he and many others have expressed their concerns about this plan to increase the employer contribution rate and the financial burden it would place on those cities. No, every point that goes up is felt across the municipalities, all across the state of Mississippi, across every 82 counties that we have here. But it's a huge issue. It's a huge problem, and it has to be addressed. I had the ability to come in last year and sit in on some of the hearings as they were discussing PERS. Yeah. And so I'm very interested to see how this discussion develops because it's something that needs to be addressed. Yeah, PERS Executive Director Higgins and the PERS Board, of course, have advised the legislature of the financial headwinds the program is facing and have made some suggestions with respect to increasing the employer contribution rate by a total of 10% over 5 years, which, of course, Mayor Barker and others at the municipal level have expressed deep concerns about their ability to fund that without raising taxes at the local level. Correct. Mainly in the form of ad valorem taxes and or perhaps requesting that the legislature allow them to increase sales taxes, though they only get a small portion of that. Yeah. And, I've heard many different, avenues to kind of address this issue. Yeah. I think we're going to start with a clean slate. and continue to work on the issue until we find a solution that's suitable. We got to make sure that we protect the folks that have, done their part. I mean, there's a lot of employees that, cops, firefighters.
Paid in.
Yeah. They did 20, 25, 30 years, 35 years at times. And, I feel like it would be very disingenuous to say, hey, thank you for your service. We're going to change the terms of it. So it's going to take some creativity. It's going to take some thinking outside the box, and it's going to take teamwork across both chambers to come up with a solution.
It's a complicated issue, and I agree.
Absolutely.
You need a brain trust to come together and make some proposals to solve the problem.
And we need to bring in some experts and have a true debate on the merits of the issue before we come up with a solution and put something into law that creates an arbitrary change that doesn't necessarily address the issue.
Let's talk about the citizen-initiated ballot measure process, Representative Hall. I think I hear that as much as I do anything from the people in the state of Mississippi. They'd like to see that restored. We haven't had one now for 3 years. Where do you stand on that?
Well, we need it back. The people deserve a voice. They deserve to be able to, bring up an issue that is not necessarily has trickled up on, in the chamber. And to put it on the ballot. I'm surprised that it hadn't been passed yet. I know the House, they passed something last term. I believe the Senate, they were in a different position. Yep. But the good thing, the one thing that I'm optimistic about is that most people understand that this is something that needs to be done. We have to have the ballot initiative back for the people of Mississippi.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. What about school choice? That's another major issue. Speaker of the House White has an interest in exploring what we can do to expand education freedom options for the parents of Mississippi. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, it's a very difficult issue when you think about the different areas that we have across Mississippi. DeSoto County has great schools. We have the largest school district in the entire state of Mississippi. And they are all largely perform extremely well. Yeah. But not every place is DeSoto County. I mean, you go in the Delta, you go in Hinds County, you look other parts across the state, and some people are just genuinely trapped where they live and where they are, and that prevents them from having opportunities moving forward. Yeah. And so, yes, we need to look at school choice. We need to empower parents who understand their local area and understand the needs of their kids in order to give them opportunity. Yeah. If we don't, we'll continue to have a whole trapped geographic area, and that just blocks any kind of opportunity for our youth coming up.
We're seeing lots of momentum behind the school choice concept across the country. We got several states already which have enacted some degree of school choice. Yeah. Florida this past spring went to totally universal school choice, meaning everybody, regardless of their income, their circumstances, can apply for an education savings account. The state of Arkansas, one of the first things Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders championed and was able to pass. We're here in Alabama's on the cusp of getting something done. I know the Speaker's aware of that as well. Tennessee's looking at it. So a lot of momentum across the country. I think it's Mississippi's time to get something done.
It is. And, the one thing that I am I'm keeping an eye on, and I'm sure that you have read this, our Constitution, the Constitution of the state of Mississippi. It's long. It's 200 plus pages. But there is a provision in there that specifically talks about giving public money to private institutions. Yep. And so I think whatever solution that we come with, it has to be in compliance with the Constitution, or we need to change the Constitution.
Yeah, totally agree. So wanted to pass this on to you on the C Spire text line. This is from the Horn Lake Lions Club. Mr. Hall is a great person, so proud to have him serving DeSoto County. So there you go.
I sure
got a
appreciate
fan out there. That's awesome. All right, so those are, I would say, among the top issues. You know this as well, the healthcare situation in the state of Mississippi needs to be addressed. I think the question is, to what extent can the government involve themselves in that dilemma? Of course, the governor proposed to CMS in Washington reforms to Medicaid reimbursement. That's going to drop some $658 million into the state. Yep. So that's going to be another one you guys are going to have to take up.
Yeah. And, Jason White, our speaker, he mentioned that in his speech.
He did.
And he talked about, not necessarily going with government handouts, but looking for provider-based solutions, market-based solutions. Yeah. That's the kind of leadership that we need. Those are the kind of solutions that we need to be seeking as we continue to address all the problems across Mississippi.
Representative Rodney Hall, appreciate you coming in, man.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks
Gerard.
a lot. 4 o'clock today. You guys will be gaveling in.
I'm headed there now.
We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Wealth studio. Stay with us.